Hey everyone, I hope you can see and hear me. Let me know if you're there, let me know where you're watching from, let me know we're all good. Because as usual, I am doing this from my undisclosed location, and things just are not that smooth whenever you're a one man band. Okay, I gotta play the drums, I gotta play the guitar, I gotta remember the lyrics. There's a lot happening at once, so I like to know that everything's good. I see Violent Vampire, you've joined. Holla if you hear me. Literally, holla at me. Let me know you can hear me. All right. I'm going to assume that we're all good. And I'm going to assume that you're all watching Game of Thrones. Where have you been? Vile Vampire, I only skipped a week. Did you miss me that much? Here's what happened, okay? Last week, Game of Thrones. I wanted to do a pre-Game of Thrones like we did for the premiere. It's a little tough. Joe was off doing something. I was off doing something. It's tough. It's tough on Sundays. I wake up. I put my game face on. I get ready for Game of Thrones, and it's a big day. And today I wanted to bring Joe on, and I wanted to do another pre-Game of Thrones because we have to talk about Euron Greyjoy. We absolutely have to talk about the badass pirate. And Joe is in Denver, and apparently they do not have the internet in Denver, or that is what I'm told. So anyway, I'm hoping that next week, next Sunday, Joe and I will do a pre-Game of Thrones, and we'll have a lot to talk about because I think that tonight Daenerys and Jon Snow will finally meet. So Hodor, to those of you joining, Hodor to Jessica, Hodor to Ben. Hodor is literally the only thing that Ben knows from Game of Thrones. Vile Vampire, that ship was sick. And I have a lot to talk about that's not Game of Thrones, but I just want to start with Game of Thrones because I know that's what we all really want to talk about. And yeah, Euron made quite an entrance. And I was a little concerned at the end of last season, season 6, when Ramsay was dispatched and he was such a great villain. And I was thinking, what are they going to do? Because basically all we have left is Cersei. And they introduce Euron. I know about him from the books. And in the books, he's like this big, epic, formidable pirate guy. And the way that he was introduced, they didn't give us much to work with on the show. And I was not sold on him until last week's episode. And he makes that grand entrance on that incredible ship. And he just is the most badass pirate in Westeros. And so Euron won me over, and he appears to be a fantastic villain. Marcel is asking, why don't you guys do it like last year, the day after? I would love to, but my Mondays are just too tough now. And we used to do last season, Joe and I would do a post Game of Thrones show on Mondays so that people had a chance to talk right after the show was over and we had time to digest, or our friends in the UK, it had just wrapped up literally before we would go live. And it's just too tough with the schedule this year. So we had to shift it to pre-Game of Thrones. And that's okay. Gives us a week, and then it's Sunday and we got our thrones on. We're ready to roll. So yes, and Sarah says, it's already so sad. The season is only 5 episodes left. I was thinking that myself today. I woke up and I thought, yes, Game of Thrones today. And I thought, oh no, we'll have one less Game of Thrones to look forward to. And I mean, we're really in the home stretch between this shortened season of only 7 episodes and the final season of only 6. It's like every single episode, while I really look forward to it, I simultaneously dread it. And listen, we'll have spin-offs and prequels and whatever. All kinds of things to look forward to, I'm sure. But right now, we have a new episode tonight to look forward to. So I'll give a heads up if anyone's watching on Periscope. If we have any technical issues last week or the previous week when we did a stream, it dropped a couple times. I'll try to relaunch it. But this Periscope thing is really flaky. So anyway, Kid Arena 007, hello to you. Thank you for joining. And okay, so let's. Sarah says spin-offs won't start till at least after a year, or a year after the series finale, and that's totally true. But look how long we waited for season 7. So, good things are worth waiting for. and we have no idea what the spin-offs will be, but they have said that the Game of Thrones spin-off concepts that are in the works, none of them have to do with any characters we know already, any characters we've met. So you're not going to see young Ned, you're not going to see Robert's Rebellion. It's probably going to take place way before, like about the Targaryens when they originally conquered the Seven Kingdoms. It's hard to tell. But anyway, so that's Game of Thrones. Now, one other Game of Thrones thing I want to talk about before we get into our regularly scheduled program, and I'm sure you'll keep distracting me with more Thrones, and I won't be able to help myself but talk about it. All right, have you seen this? You Know Nothing, John Doe. The actor who plays Hot Pie launched a service in the UK. It was based in London with Deliveroo, and they were selling wolf-shaped bread. And apparently it sold out, and it did phenomenally well, which goes to show you, man, the hunger for Game of Thrones knows no bounds. So if you were in London and you managed to snag some of the wolf bread, let me know how it was, because it was not available here in New York, but I'll tell you, if it was, it would have sold out here as well. This thing went viral. All right, so moving on to another favorite topic. San Diego Comic-Con was last week, I think it was last week, and so there were tons of trailers, there was tons of news. Ben says he got the wolf bread and it tasted good. Ben, you're a liar. You're a liar, and we see right through you. All right, so another favorite, The Walking Dead. The Season 8 trailer premiered for San Diego Comic-Con, and the thing that everybody's talking about is the time jump, because the last thing we see in the trailer is Old Man Rick. We see Rick with the gray beard in bed, and it's long been rumored that this season would experience a big time jump. Clearly, if Rick has had time to go gray, that's going to happen. So whether that happens at the beginning and then it's all flashbacks, or whether it happens at the mid-season premiere, who knows? But Game of Thrones. See, it's still in my brain. The Walking Dead is going to have some big shakeups this season, and of course, when this came out. Immediately the conspiracy theory was, oh, it looks like the shot of when Rick wakes up from his coma. So what if The Walking Dead was all just a coma dream and none of it's real? It was all in Rick's head. But because that has been such a popular conspiracy theory for so long, I believe it was Robert Kirkman who actually came out and shot that down, said, no, no, no. I assure you, everything you're seeing in the Walking Dead show is actually happening in that fictional universe, and it is not all just a dream in Rick's head. So there you go. You don't have to worry about that unless he's a flat-out liar, and he might be. But I don't think that's the case. So Violet Vampire says they should end it after this season. They are not going to end this show until it becomes unprofitable. It is still the biggest show on cable, and Fear the Walking Dead is the second biggest show on cable. When I say cable, I mean regular basic cable versus like a Netflix or an HBO. So The Walking Dead and Fear the Walking Dead are still, they're really the flagships of AMC, so they're not going anywhere anytime soon. They have to really become unprofitable. And speaking of profits, AMC has announced a fan rewards club where they're actually giving away points for watching The Walking Dead or posting about it, and you can redeem those points for either digital goods or some like special t-shirts or whatever they end up giving away. So they're really trying to make this, they're trying to capitalize on this Walking Dead community, and that's going to launch before the Season 8 premiere. They're also starting a subscription box, so every quarter of the year, you'll be able to subscribe for $50 to a box of Walking Dead official merchandise. So AMC is trying to make the most out of this while they have it. And, the end of last season was very good, but the season itself was not very good. So I'm going to give it another chance. Look at Fear the Walking Dead, right? Fear the Walking Dead was terrible for the first season, terrible for the second season, but this third season, we're halfway through, pretty good, pretty enjoyable. It's a different show, and a lot of people have already abandoned it, but I have to say, Fear the Walking Dead did not disappoint me this season, and maybe it's because I set the expectations way down here. When it launched, they were way up here. But now they're down here and they are exceeding expectations, which maybe isn't that hard. Yes, Sarah says, can't wait to see the war on Walking Dead, the all-out war. Yes, that is coming, and I'm excited, and we'll see. In the meantime, Fear the Walking Dead is also returning on September 10th, so that's going to come and go very quickly, and then the next thing you know, The Walking Dead will be upon us, and crossing my fingers that it meets expectations at least. All right, Tom, Thor was the Thor trailer was the best thing out of San Diego Comic-Con. Yes, and I will talk about the Thor trailer in a minute. First, I want to jump ahead to some other quick announcements. American Horror Story Season 7 will be called Cult, and they've been putting out all these creepy trailers with clowns, a cult of clowns, and they had previously announced that this would be inspired by the 2016 presidential election. So I'm just going to let you draw your conclusions between the 2016 presidential election and clowns. I don't need to say anything. All right, Stranger Things Season 2 has a fantastic trailer, so that will be coming out soon. We have that to look forward to right before Halloween. Sarah says, nope, I'm all set with clowns. I have one more clown I'm saving. We're going to talk about in a little bit. If you did not see it, Tom, I know you saw it. Ready Player One. This is a highly anticipated movie based on the Ernest Cline novel, and they dropped the first trailer. Steven Spielberg is directing this, and if you are not familiar with Ready Player One, coming right off of Stranger Things, you know how you love the 80s nostalgia from Stranger Things? Well, Ready Player One is chock full of 80s nostalgia. This is I describe it as The Matrix meets The Hunger Games meets Willy Wonka. And after you've read the book, or I assume after you watch the movie, you'll see exactly how all those three things line up, because the source material for this is incredible. So if you are not familiar with Ready Player One, get the book, get the audiobook, check it out. It is full of all of the 80s video games and movies references you could possibly want. And we hope, and by we I mean Tom, you and me, that the movie lives up to expectations, but the expectations are way high. So, moving on to another trailer, the highly anticipated trailer for Westworld Season 2 came out at San Diego Comic-Con, and it's everything we dreamed of. Robots, killing, cowboys, yeah, it's pretty much all there. The other thing that came out, Star Trek Discovery. So for the Walking Dead fans among us, Sasha, the dearly departed Sasha, has found new life in Star Trek Discovery. Sonequa Martin Green is the star of the new series, and some new trailers dropped, some new information. The problem with this show is it's going to be exclusively available on CBS All Access, the subscription streaming service. So if you really, really have to subscribe to CBS shows to get your fill of The Big Bang Theory, you might also watch the new Star Trek series. Elsewhere in the world, outside of the US, it's available on Netflix, except Canada. It's actually on a regular TV channel there without a paywall. So we'll see. The other big announcement is apparently Sonequa Martin Green is Spock's adopted sister. You know, what could possibly go wrong with a suddenly introduced Spock sibling? Nothing. Nothing has ever gone wrong with that. Star Trek V. But yeah, that comes out September 24th. So crossing my fingers. Crossing my fingers for that one as well. Yes, but even if Star Trek Discovery is disappointing, Seth MacFarlane will give us a different sort of Star Trek series. His new series, The Orville, is loosely, and by loosely I mean not loose at all, based on Star Trek. It looks like a Galaxy Quest TV series, but certainly with the Family Guy creator sense of comedy. So that's hitting Fox. You will not need to subscribe to a separate service to see that. And I figure between Star Trek Discovery and The Orville, chances are one of them will be good, and there will be one new Star Trek thing, whether it's official or unofficial, on TV to look forward to. I hope. Another big announcement, the new Doctor from Doctor Who is a female, Jodie Whittaker. So, of course, the internet erupted. There's been two sides on this. People that have been really, really hoping that the next Doctor would be female for several regenerations, and then people that have been saying, if this happens, I'll never watch it again. So we'll see if they keep watching it when the new Doctor steps out of the TARDIS. Sarah says, I bet that will be like a longer drawn out How the West Was Won. You mean Westworld? Oh, yeah. Listen, Westworld, we're going to have to wait until 2018. So this trailer from San Diego Comic-Con is probably going to be the most we get for a long time, and I was actually surprised that we got that. But there's a lot of good stuff on the horizon here, and I feel like out of all these things that were announced at San Diego Comic-Con, if half of them are garbage, half of them will still be pretty good. Oh, Sarah says, no, the Seth MacFarlane series. Oh, yes, talking about his Wild West movie that was not good, and I did not watch because I heard it was not good. I don't know. He's a little hit or miss, and he's the star of this, which is a little different. Generally, whenever Seth MacFarlane is the star of things, shaky. He's great as a voice actor. We'll see if he can hold it as an actor. Okay, the other big trailer, Justice League. And the new Justice League trailer shows the influence of Joss Whedon. Zack Snyder, he put out a trailer. There was a trailer earlier when Zack Snyder was the director, the hands-on director for this, that looked like a metal video. And, you know, that's okay if you like metal videos, but it's all dark and gritty, and it's everything that you know Zack Snyder loves. Well, the San Diego Comic-Con trailer that came out shows Joss Whedon's influence, because Zack Snyder stepped back as director. Joss Whedon, who also directed The Avengers, stepped in, and you can actually see what's happening. It's a little lighter, it's a little more fun, it feels a little bit more like The Avengers. Whether you like that or you don't, it's a different tone to the trailer, and I'm crossing my fingers. It's one of those things, I feel like I'm crossing all my fingers today, but that's just simply how it is. You never know with these things. I feel like with the Justice League, it's hit or miss. I'm going to see it, and I'm managing expectations. And I'm sorry I missed your name. I forget who it was. Someone said Thor was better. Yes, we'll get to Thor now, actually. So the Thor trailer was really kind of a Planet Hulk trailer, to tell you the truth. If you're not familiar with the comic book series, there's a well-known story called Planet Hulk, which is the Thor Ragnarok movie is taking a lot of that, where Hulk becomes a gladiator on another planet. And the thing about the rights with the Marvel movies is that Marvel does not technically have the rights to make a standalone Hulk movie. So the solution is they created a buddy movie. It's a Thor movie, they say, because it says Thor in the title. But it's really Thor and the Incredible Hulk. And it looks really fun. Boss Jones, it was you who said that. Thank you. Sorry I missed your name. The Periscope comments fade very quickly. But yes, this really was a good-looking trailer. It looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. Let's be honest. The other Thor movies have not been great. Have I enjoyed them? I guess. The first one more than the second one. But I don't get too excited about Thor movies. I just go watch them like they're normal movies. And this one I'm actually kind of cautiously excited for. And Sarah says, I will go into that movie without watching Batman v Superman still. I assume you're talking about Justice League. And you know what? It'll probably be a better experience for not having that baggage. All right. The other Marvel news, Captain Marvel. This is a movie that has been eagerly anticipated, and the big announcement was that it will actually be set in the 90s. So Marvel is changing things up. Basically, the Marvel Universe, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, has begun with the first Iron Man movie, which I believe was 2008. But now they're taking us back in time, and they're going to show us the Marvel Universe in the 90s with Captain Marvel. And Boss Jones says the Thor and Hulk together is a good idea. I agree. And I feel like if the Thor movies have been lacking, adding Hulk kind of spices it up. And I'm far more interested in this Thor movie than I ever have been in another Thor movie. And yes, Tom, Hulk like raging fire, Thor like smoldering fire. So it's going to be a buddy comedy. And Marvel's good about this sort of like Ant-Man was a heist movie, and Thor Ragnarok will be a buddy movie, and Guardians of the Galaxy is a space comedy. So they've been very good about changing things up. So, and the way they're changing it up with Captain Marvel is it's going to be a 90s movie. Apparently, Nick Fury is going to be in it, maybe pre-eye patch. So, Sam Jackson, fortunately, the man doesn't look like he's aged all that much. He can probably play a 90s Sam Jackson. And the other announcement is the villains of this will be the Skrulls, which a lot of people assumed were off limits to the Marvel Cinematic Universe because Fox had the rights tied up with the Fantastic Four rights. But apparently they can have some Skrulls, just not specific ones. So that should be interesting for setting up big Phase 4 Marvel movie things, because if you're familiar with the comics, the Skrulls are aliens that can change shape and infiltrate organizations and what have you. So I think that Captain Marvel will probably be a big part of the foundation of the next phase of the Marvel movies. Let's see, what else? Oh, I should also mention, speaking of female superheroes, that Wonder Woman has a release date now. Or Wonder Woman 2, I mean, has a release date now, December 13th, 2019. So, yeah, after Wonder Woman was a big success, maybe Marvel won't be so afraid of female-featured standalone movies. Captain Marvel will be the first. Maybe you'll finally get your Black Widow movie. Boss Jones didn't... Did you see the leaked Infinity War trailer? I missed your comment. If Periscope fades way too fast, if anyone's watching from Periscope HQ, fix your app, man. I can't read it fast enough. All right. So, yes, there was a leaked Infinity War trailer that hit YouTube. I actually didn't watch it because it's too low quality, but everything I heard about it was pretty good. The other big announcement... Yes, to all of our Full House fans who are watching, TGIF is coming to Hulu. So Hulu just announced a deal that on September 29th, they're getting 800 episodes and 800 episodes worth of theme songs from classic TGIF series Full House, Family Matters, Step by Step, Hanging with Mr. Cooper, and my personal favorite, Perfect Strangers. So for those of you that maybe forget that Reginald VelJohnson was both in Die Hard and Family Matters, aka The Urkel Show at the same time. When you go back and watch this show, think of it this way. Put a little twist on it. Imagine that Family Matters is actually, he's playing Carl Winslow, the same character that he plays in Die Hard. And he's actually gone into some sort of witness relocation program, moved to the suburbs, and Steve Urkel is a hallucination and his way of dealing with PTSD. It will put Family Matters in a whole new light, and you'll find a whole new way to enjoy it. And of course, Perfect Strangers, the OG. This was really the first TGIF series. This predates Full House, and this was my personal favorite. And this show has just not been available for, I don't know where you could watch this for the last 15, 20 years, but I'm very excited that it's finally going to be available. This one was the best. So, moving on to what's in theaters this month. The Dark Tower. This is the not Steven Spielberg. I was talking about Steven Spielberg with the other adaptation, Ready Player One. This is the adaptation of Stephen King's Dark Tower book that we have waited for a very long time. Many of us were hoping it would be adapted into an HBO or Netflix style series, but no, it's a Ron Howard movie, and it's coming out on the 4th. And Idris Elba plays the gunslinger. I'm hoping it's good. I'm hoping, but I'm not sure. This one could go either way, but I will know next weekend whether this is a good movie or not, because I will go see it next weekend. But in the meantime, there was a really cool promo video that they put out. It was through the social media for The Dark Tower, but what it was Idris Elba narrating this video that was teasing The Shining and teasing It and teasing Carrie and Shawshank and The Stand and Christine and all these Stephen King stories, and talking about how there are many universes and what have you. And if you know the Dark Tower series, it's sort of at the nexus of all space and time. So all these different Stephen King stories, they all kind of crisscross through the Dark Tower. And it was really cool, but it got yanked off the internet. And I have to assume that that was because the movie It is coming out next. Speaking of killer clowns, I told you I'd come back to that. And It is coming out soon from a different movie studio. And the fact that this promo video teases It, even though it's teasing from the book, probably they got a cease and desist. So it's unfortunate if you missed this teaser video. It's probably the closest we'll ever get to a Stephen King extended universe on the big screen. And by the big screen, I mean YouTube before it was yanked. Tom says 96 minutes long, immediate red flag. Yeah, that's kind of that's not a good sign for a movie, but we'll see. And a lot of people said that The Dark Tower could not satisfactorily be adapted to a feature-length film, and next weekend we'll know. But in the meantime, all the trailers for it look fantastic. So even if you don't like The Dark Tower, we do have more Stephen King coming up next month, and it looks incredible. And Sarah says, this is why I can't stand near drains. That's it. Yes. So yes, Killer Clowns with American Horror Story, and it's going to be a great Halloween for you to dust off your killer clown costume. Speaking of killer things and horror that in extended universes, while we're at it, Annabelle Creation comes out on the 11th. This is set in the Conjuring universe, because we can't have a Stephen King extended universe, but we can have a Conjuring extended universe. So, whatever. Another thing that's coming out, this is Batman and Harley Quinn through Fathom Events. So if you are a fan of the Batman animated series, Kevin Conroy voiced Batman, Lauren Lester voiced Nightwing. They are coming back, and they're teaming up with Harley Quinn. It's a new voice. Melissa Rauch from The Big Bang Theory is voicing Harley Quinn. So this is coming out on Blu-ray and streaming and all those things, but Fathom Events is doing an in-theater event on August 14th. And I went to the one for The Killing Joke, which was fun. The movie was terrible, but being in with the audience of fans of the Batman animated series, watching it on the big screen was really a good experience. So my only problem with this is I'm a little Harley Quinned out. It's like, okay, I get it. She's insanely popular right now, but you're totally oversaturating her. Like, stick to Batman. Harley Quinn is a B-level character. Quit trying to make her the superstar of the DC universe, guys. But I'm glad to see the classic Batman animated series style coming back. So on the 18th, there's another movie that was mentioned. Who mentioned this? Was this you, Sarah? Oh, yes. I really want to see The Hitman's Bodyguard. This comes out soon. This is on, what did I just say, the 18th. It features Ryan Reynolds and Sam Jackson. You really can't go wrong with that combination. Even if it's a bad movie, they'll be good. So, you know, I'll probably wait and see this on streaming or HBO or whatever. But, you know, if The Dark Tower's terrible, maybe you walk out of that and you go see this. All right, Polaroid comes out on the, what date? The 25th. So if you're not familiar, this movie is basically about a Polaroid camera that when it takes your picture, you die. And I'm just going to throw it out there. This was the plot of a Goosebumps book. Yes, they've adapted the plot of a Goosebumps book, licensed the rights to Polaroid, and they're making it into a horror movie because horror movies always make money, no matter how dumb they are and no matter whether they came from a Goosebumps story or not. It will probably make more money than the Goosebumps movie, to be honest. So, we'll see. And if it launches an extended universe, there's Polaroid, there's Kodak. We'll see what happens with that. But yes, true horror. True horror, thy name is Polaroid. Now for something that's actually good and guaranteed to be good. Terminator 2 is coming out in 3D. This is the 4K restoration. It's going to hit theaters on the 25th. Now, the best news related to this coming out is that it demonstrates James Cameron's renewed interest in the Terminator franchise. And if we can distract him from Avatar movies and get him back to killer robots from the future, then maybe the future of movies will be in good hands. And this will not be the first 3D version of Terminator 2. If you recall, they at Universal Studios, they put out an attraction called Battle Across Time 3D, which was like in 1996. So it's like old school 3D. And unfortunately, that closed in the Hollywood Universal Studios in 2012. But I snuck in right before that happened. I think I went to Universal Studios in like 2011. And when I went there, I said, I'm going to go to all the things that I know are not long for this world. I'm going to see the Terminator 2 ride. I'm going to see the Waterworld live show, which I think is still there somehow. I'm going to go to all these outdated attractions, and I'm going to enjoy them before they're replaced. And right after it was replaced by Minion Mayhem, which makes much better sense, I have to say. People actually care about the Minions, and some outdated 1996 3D Terminator attraction, probably not. But anyway, I enjoyed it. It was good, and I think maybe as part of this Terminator 2 Judgment Day 3D event in theaters, they might actually be showing the Universal Studios 3D thing, which was not very long. I'm not entirely sure about that, but I'm hoping. Because otherwise, I think you have to go to Japan to see it now. I'm not going to Japan. Okay, and another thing that was shown at San Diego Comic-Con, the newest trailer for Marvel's Inhumans, and it doesn't look very good. So if you recall, Inhumans was announced a long time ago as a big slate of Marvel movies. This was when they announced, like, through 2020, all the Marvel movies. Inhumans was going to be one of them. When they got the rights back for Spider-Man from Sony, then Inhumans went onto the back burner, and we didn't hear anything about it for a long time. And then they said, oh, we're actually going to turn it into an ABC TV series, but the premiere will be in IMAX theaters. And that was pretty interesting, and I had high hopes, but it looks like an ABC TV series. It looks like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and they're going to put it on the IMAX. And I got to tell you, I have no interest in that. But I'm still hoping. I'm hoping. It looks terrible. Looks can be deceiving. I don't think they will be. And if this would have just been a Netflix series, maybe then things would be different. But at least we have the Defenders to look forward to. And I will get to that. Tom says Inhumans equals unwatchable. I'll probably still try to watch it in the IMAX experience just because that's like an unprecedented thing. It's the first time that they're going to be premiering a TV series like this on IMAX screens, so I feel like I kind of have to be there, even if the show ends up being terrible. All right, now we're going to go through real quick. Oh, Sarah says 3 words, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Speaking of unwatchable, I've tried to watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. multiple times. I just can't get through the show. It's so bad. I don't know how it stayed on the air. I know it says Marvel in front of its title, but that's got to be the only thing keeping it on air. All right, so things that are good that you can look forward to. I know these are good because these are tried and true, coming to streaming services and HBO premium cable this month. The Addams Family hits Netflix this month. The Addams Family is that quintessential 90s movie that we can't have that anymore. This was a time capsule where you've got this adaptation of this TV series. It's a great, fun movie. You've got Christopher Lloyd. You've got Raul Julia. It's got an MC Hammer song, the Addams Family groove. I want to go back in time to the 90s, and I just want to have a Groundhog Day experience where every day I wake up and it's 1994, and I can go see the Addams Family in theaters. And in the meantime, I'll be able to wake up every day and watch it on Netflix, apparently. But I don't know if I'll be able to find that MC Hammer music video. All right, another trilogy that's hitting Netflix, the Matrix trilogy. Now, if you're looking at this picture and you're thinking, wait a second, Will Smith wasn't in the Matrix, that's because I stole this image from an alternate universe where Will Smith did not turn down the starring role in the Matrix to make this other movie that's coming to Netflix, Wild Wild West. Yes, Will Smith literally turned down the Matrix to star in Wild Wild West. Sarah says, I didn't realize Raul Julia had died until recently. Really? That was like big news when that happened. Wow. I guess you were just like on vacation when that happened many years ago, and nobody bothered to tell you. So, yeah, I hate to break it to you if anyone's an Addams Family or Raul Julia fan and you've been in a bunker for the last decade or so. Okay, speaking of another movie that is hitting, what's this coming to? Netflix, I believe. This is an underrated Quentin Tarantino movie, Jackie Brown, but I bring it up because this is another thing with Will Smith and Wild Wild West. Apparently, speaking of Quentin Tarantino movies, Django Unchained. Will Smith was offered the role that Jamie Foxx took in Django Unchained, but he turned it down because he'd already played a cowboy in The Wild Wild West. So yes, The Wild Wild West has been haunting Will Smith for a very, very long time. All right, but Jackie Brown is a really a good underrated movie. Is it Quentin's best? No, but it's got Robert De Niro, and it's pretty enjoyable. So if you've never watched this, if this is the Quentin Tarantino movie you've missed, go back and watch it. It's going to be available on streaming services in this month. All right, so this is a personal favorite. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure and Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey hits both Hulu and Amazon. And I have to tell you, every single time I stumble across Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure on TV, I have to stop and watch it. It is one of the only movies that will pull me in every single time. I just love everything about this movie. It's absurd. It's infinitely quotable. It's so funny. It's another one of those movies that they don't make them like this anymore. And even Bogus Journey, not nearly as good as Excellent Adventure, I'd say I stop and watch it about 50% of the time I see it on cable. And there are still rumors that there will be a Bill and Ted 3. And Keanu has said that he is game. He would be excited to do a Bill and Ted 3 because he had so much fun doing the other two. And Alex Winter, I'm going to assume he's not going to hold out. So the rumor is that in the first one they traveled through time, the second one they went to the afterlife, the third one they would hop through dimensions, parallel worlds where they see things that could have been, and I'm really, really hoping we get a Bill and Ted 3 because even if it's terrible, I'm sure I'll still enjoy aspects of it. Except I'm remembering Zoolander 2. Now I'm having a flashback to Zoolander 2. I guess that logic doesn't hold up. But I'll give it a chance. And Alex Winter, he really wants to do this, Keanu. You guys have to figure this out. Cujo, wait a second, that's not Cujo. That's pretty much the same thing as Cujo. Cujo and The Dead Zone are hitting Hulu and Amazon. So it's really a Stephen King month where we have The Dark Tower, and then beginning of next month we have It. But in the meantime, you can enjoy Cujo and you can enjoy The Dead Zone on streaming services. Another movie that I stopped and watched last weekend when I stumbled across it on cable, Coming to America. This movie really holds up. And it's on Hulu. It's one of those things where if you're having a bad day, you can just put on this movie and it is just, it's great. It holds up really well. It's really funny. And it's great when these kinds of movies are available on streaming services. Travis Jones says, okay, this is Boss Jones. Periscope is tripping. Well, thanks for finding us on Facebook. I'm sorry that Periscope is so flaky. There's nothing I can do about that, but Facebook has been pretty reliable. So be sure to like the page and subscribe so when Periscope flakes, you can find it here. Another nostalgia thing I wanted to bring up, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids hits Hulu, and the world misses Rick Moranis. Rick, the 90s was perhaps a superior decade because you were in it. I think there's a direct correlation with how crappy the world has become and when you stopped acting. So what we need to do, it's not about making America great again, it's about making movies great again. And Rick Moranis, we need you to do that. So another throwback, Teen Wolf and Teen Wolf 2, the often overlooked sequel that does not feature Michael J. Fox, are on Hulu and Amazon this month. And speaking of horror movies, Saw 1 through 5 on Hulu and Amazon. Also, Spider-Man 1 and 2, ironically, the third one is not there, which is a horror movie in and of itself. But Spider-Man 1 and 2 hit Hulu, so if you can't wait for Homecoming to hit your home, you can enjoy the Sam Raimi movies on Hulu. And The Founder, featuring Michael Keaton. This is the one where Michael Keaton plays the founder, sort of, the semi-founder of McDonald's. He's actually not the guy that created McDonald's, but he's the guy that popularized it, that made it a national thing. And I'd like to go back and rewatch The Founder after having watched Spider-Man Homecoming, and in my head mash those two things up. where Michael Keaton founds McDonald's and then becomes a Spider-Man villain. Speaking of Spider-Man villains, Willem Dafoe is playing in the live-action adaptation of Death Note, which hits Netflix on the 25th. So this is a well-regarded anime movie, feature-length movie, I believe, and it is being adapted on Netflix with Willem Dafoe, and he plays, the creepy-looking guy, because that's the part he was born to play. So a lot of fans of the anime are really looking forward to this and also dreading it because they're saying it can't be adapted. But I need more Willem Dafoe, and this looks like an incredible role for him. Sarah says he's on board for Spaceballs 2. Rick Moranis is? Listen, I would be excited for Spaceballs 2 no matter what. But if it's Spaceballs 2 and the triumphant return of Rick Moranis, I am doubly on board. So let's hope that's the case. And lastly, coming to HBO this month on the 12th, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. Where to Find Them is HBO. All right, now just to round out some things coming to TV, whether this is streaming or premium or regular TV or what have you. On the 6th, Ray Donovan returns to Showtime. On the 9th, Mr. Mercedes, another Stephen King adaptation, is coming to the Audience Network. Did you know that there's a thing called the Audience Network? I do now. Get Shorty, the TV series adaptation of what we've seen in the movies, is coming to Epix, and it's featuring Ray Romano, and I hear that everybody loves that guy. This is the big one. Tom, we were saving this. The 18th, The Defenders, Season 1, hits Netflix, and it features all of your favorite Netflix Marvel superheroes. Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, all of your favorites. So The Defenders is the all-star team-up that Netflix is bringing to us sort of the same way that in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, they started with Iron Man, they brought in Captain America, they brought in Thor, and then they teamed up in the Avengers. The Defenders has done that with Netflix. So they gave us a lot of backstory on Daredevil, a lot of backstory on Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, and now they're coming together. And it looks fun. It looks good. They showed the first episode at San Diego Comic-Con, and it got really good feedback. So hoping it lives up to the expectations. It's been a long time coming. All right, Halt and Catch Fire. The final season comes to AMC on the 19th. On the 20th, The Last Ship, the season premiere, hits TNT. Is the show any good? Have any of you guys watched The Last Ship on TNT? I tried to watch the first episode. When I heard the description, it sounded like it would be a good show. I think it's a Michael Bay thing, so that kind of like turned me off, but I figured I'd give it a try. But the first episode was just so cheesy. It was like the scientist and the commander of the last aircraft carrier are having this scene where the scientist is like, now I know you're in the military and I am a scientist, and it was just like, can you be any more stereotypical? So I had to turn this off. And not just because it was Michael Bay, but because I can't sit through a TV series like that. But anyway, it's coming to TNT, a new season, so it has to be at least reasonably good. You know, as good as Transformers to keep getting sequels. And the day after the previous season actually hits Amazon, so you can watch that. On the 25th, Once Upon a Time returns, or, part of it, because there's been a major shakeup, and basically all the main characters are gone except for the three that are actually the best, Hook, Regina, and Rumpelstiltskin. And so the show is going to be really retooled around those three characters, and they're aging up Henry, because the kid that played Henry was terrible and made the show borderline unwatchable. And the guy that played Gareth, the Terminus cannibal in The Walking Dead, is playing older Henry. And he's really good. I wish they would have done more with him in The Walking Dead. So that's something to look forward to in Once Upon a Time season, the new season. But in the meantime, Season 6 hits Netflix on the 25th, before the new season hits ABC. Sorry if I mixed those up. I believe that's in September when it comes back to ABC. The Tick is getting a new lease on life. Season 1 hits Amazon on the 25th. No, that's not Patrick Warburton, but it is more Tick, and the previous live action series was too short lived, unfortunately. But Amazon's giving it another try. And lastly, South Park will not be coming back on the 23rd of August as it was previously scheduled to. Comedy Central has just announced they're pushing it back to September 3rd. So we have just like another week to wait for more South Park. This will be season 21. Does that make you feel as old as it makes me feel? South Park is 21 years old. It can legally drink now. And they have said, or they've hinted at, this season will not be a long story arc like the previous season had been, which was a bit of a drag. They want to get back to doing one-offs. And so I've been on a South Park kick lately. I go through these phases where sometimes it's like, I could really stand to watch some South Park. And the rest of the year, I don't even think about it. And so I'm really excited for this to come back. And I'm really excited for them to get back to one-offs, back to just like standalone stories. And, these long story arcs, they're okay, but it was better whenever they could be more self-contained and have more freedom. Sarah says, boo, that was my birthday present. Apparently your birthday's on the 23rd, and Comedy Central is taking it back. You're going to have to wait for that one. Another announcement is that the video game, the South Park Fractured But Whole video game, comes out October 17th, supposedly. This was supposed to come out like last fall. And I have to tell you, the joke of the title just recently dawned on me. I've been reading the name of this video game for a long time, and I didn't get the joke until I actually heard someone say it out loud. South Park, The Fractured But Whole. So enjoy that. Travis, aka Boss Jones, says, I could never really get into South Park. I have to tell you that if you started it in the first seasons, it has really, really evolved since then. So if you haven't given it a try since like 1999 or 2000, early 2000s, you should give it another try. Because it really, for a while, became very topical. And the reason it's been so good in recent years is because they actually turn around the show in like 6 days. There's a great documentary about that. I believe it's 6 days, and I believe the documentary is called like South Park 6 Days or 6 Days to Air or something. And it talks about how with their software, they can come up with a script and they can have it on air in less than a week. And that means that South Park is one of the freshest shows. It's the most topical shows on TV because whatever just happened in the news, they can tackle it. And so that has been in the last few years, and it's been really good. It's been really good. All right, so that is what I've got for this month preview, August. And there's a lot to look forward to, but it doesn't really matter about all of this, all of these movies, all of these TV shows, because what we really care about is Game of Thrones. And we are now, on the East Coast at least, 2 hours from Game of Thrones, new episode. So I'm going to go get my game face on and get ready for that. And if this episode, if Season 7, Episode 3, is even half as good as the last episode, we're in for a hell of a night. So anyway, look for us maybe next week. I'm going to try to get Joe back, and we're going to do a pre-Game of Thrones if possible. But try to catch us next week, probably around this time if all goes according to plan. And we will talk about Game of Thrones. We have a lot to talk about. There are zombie giants. There are crazy pirates. Ilaria Sand is probably going to be tortured beyond recognition tonight. And it's Game of Thrones, guys. You know what you're going to get. It's going to be good. So in the meantime, be sure to follow, like, and share. Turn those notifications on so you do not miss the pre-Game of Thrones. And we will see you, hopefully, next week. So in the meantime, Valor Morgulis.